and it moves up, and then it shoots off super fast speed, changes direction suddenly, and it's moving fast. No visible means of propulsion. I don't see any propellers, and there is something in there. What it is, who really knows? All right, the first clip comes to us from the UFO subreddit, and it's titled "Probably the most compelling UFO video I've ever seen." Let's take a look. So it's about 48 seconds long. It seems to take place at dusk, and you see this very bright orange-yellow object moving across the sky, and you see beams of light coming down off of it as it moves across the sky, and it does appear to be rotating. It almost looks like a giant thing of like magma, and it moves up, and then it shoots off super fast speed, and then they find it again, and they're trying to zoom in on it, and it's just like a solid, and there it is behind the trees there. It's just like a solid, bright, reddish orange, kind of saucer-shaped object moving around. Again, it does appear to be rotating because you can kind of see some of the patterns moving around, and it moves back into the trees. They're continuing to keep it in frame. So I'm not sure why the clip ended there. That was a little odd. I mean, why did the clip cut off there? Who knows? But it's a very interesting clip. So there are three different interesting observations here. First, of course, is what the object looks like. It's saucer-shaped, like a glowing saucer-shaped craft of just pure energy, reddish or orangish, almost like I said, like lava or molten steel or something like that. And then these beams of light that's shooting off of it here as it's moving over what looks like a mountain or a hillside. I don't know what that's all about. That's very interesting. And then you're going to see it quickly dart off in one direction as they're keeping it in frame. Happens somewhere about right here. You see it, boom, dart really fast, and then they got it back in frame. So this is a really interesting clip. Really, and it also seems to be pretty old too. It's shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, low resolution. It appears that they're not using, I don't think that they're using a digital zoom. I could be wrong, but this is one of the more interesting and compelling clips that I've seen in a while, and I don't quite know what to think of it. But let's see what people on the Reddit thread are saying about this one. All right, this individual says, "I thought this video was supposed to be a digital recreation of what the witness described. It doesn't seem real considering how old it would be." This person says, "Nice shader effects, but fake. No illumination from the object on the trees." This individual says this is a copy inspired by a UFO that someone claimed to film back in the 80s. So the consensus in the comments over on the Reddit thread is that this video is fake and a digital creation of some kind. Before we play clip number 2, please take just a super quick moment to click that like and click that subscribe button. Really helps the channel out in the YouTube algorithm and pushes me out to a wider audience. It helps the channel grow. Really appreciate the support, and let's get to clip number 2. Clip number 2 is from the Strange Earth subreddit, and it's titled, "My mind is blown by this video. Sudden change in direction is what UFO does." This video is about 40 seconds long, and you see night vision looking at the sky. You see a flock of birds flying across the sky that they're showing. You see some satellites moving across the nighttime sky. They're trying to show you the difference between all these different things that can be seen with night vision. You see an aircraft, an airplane moving across the sky. So they're showing you what all these things look like in night vision. And then you see the object that they really want to point your eyes to. That's not a bird, not a satellite, not an airplane. It's moving in a straight line until it changes direction suddenly at a 90-degree angle as they continue to film it flying across the sky. Now, it looks like they're filming this through a night vision scope of some kind. Again, flock of birds there, okay? A couple of satellites here. You can see how the satellites move and how they look. And then you have a commercial aircraft here. And then let's replay the object that they're filming that has a sudden change of direction. You can see it looks different than all the other objects, and it's also moving much, much, much faster than all the other objects that they've shown, and it's not blinking. But the really crazy and compelling part is the fact that it makes a sudden 90-degree turn. That is not something that any of our aircrafts can do that we know of. Now let's see what people are saying over in the comments on the Reddit thread. A lot of people commenting saying that they've seen something similar in the sky. This individual asks, why can't that last one be a bird on its own? And Ramrug states the obvious here, which is birds can't change direction. And this person says, but bats can. One person that thinks that they see flapping in the object. One person that thinks it's a drone. So a lot of people think that it's either a bat or a bird of some kind, and I just don't buy that. I just don't buy that, considering how far away it is and the fact that it suddenly changes direction at a 90-degree angle. That's not something that can be explained away by a bat or a bird. All right, clip number 3 comes to us from the Strange Earth subreddit, and it says, this is a real footage of a UFO seen midair over South America in October 2023. Looks very similar to what was barely seen in the gimbal video. All right, so daytime sky, cloudy. You saw the wing of the commercial aircraft and they're filming through the window, and you see an object moving across the sky. It appears to be diamond shaped or flying or saucer shaped, kind of saucer slash diamond shape. It's moving at a consistent speed in one direction, appears to be metallic. You see the sun glinting off the top of it here, and they continue to film it until it leaves their view by flying under the wing in the frame. And let's pause on the object about right here. Yeah, let's do right here. Let's go back a few frames. I want to pause on it whenever it has a cloud behind it. Now let's zoom in on that. So you can see it is definitely saucer shaped. It has a point at the top, a point at the bottom, and then you kind of have the saucer part here. And it's moving fast, no visible means of propulsion. I don't see any propellers. It's moving in a straight line. It doesn't seem to be deviating and not moving up or down. Does appear to be intelligently controlled in some way. Definitely not a balloon. A balloon would not be at that altitude, and a balloon would not be moving like that, I don't think. So really interesting. Let's see what people are saying over in the comments on the Reddit thread. Sounds like a CGI expert says that it's the real deal and it was shot in the late 90s or early 2000s. This person thinks that it's a balloon of some kind, and this individual argues against that by making a couple of arguments, one of which is the fact that it's at probably like 50,000 feet elevation. This individual says a balloon wouldn't travel that steadily at such an altitude. There's no ripple effect of the wind on it. That is very true. A lot of people think that it's a balloon. This person thinks that it's a high altitude weather balloon. This person thinks that it's a solar balloon. So the majority of people in the comments think that it is a balloon, and I just don't buy it. That does not look like or move like a balloon, in my opinion. Clip number 4 also comes to us from the Strange Earth subreddit, and it's titled, "This is the best cube-shaped UFO video I have ever seen." Now this clip appears to come from some kind of maybe documentary or some type of video. So you see, you know, some B-roll footage of some airplanes as they try to set the scene, and then you go to the actual clip. So it's filmed, it looks like from a pilot's perspective in an airplane, and they're showing their altitude, they're showing some of their instrumentation on the airplane, and then they pan the camera back out and zoom in. Now let's go ahead and let this play. They zoom in on the object as it moves across the sky. It's moving at a very high altitude, kind of underneath to one side of the plane. It's moving very fast in a straight line, and it does appear at a glance to be cube shaped. Now they're kind of zooming in on it and digitally enhancing it a little bit. And you can tell it does appear to have some angles to it, right? It doesn't appear to be a sphere or an orb. So that could very well be a cube-shaped UAP. Now, what would possibly be this high at this kind of altitude? Just like the last video, just like the last clip we covered, a lot of people are probably going to say it's a balloon. I guarantee you we're going to see that in the comments on the Reddit thread. So this individual says, I just Googled how high a helium balloon can fly, and it's 30,000 feet. This person thinks that it just appears to be moving fast because of perspective, because of it being passed by the plane. This person says, I'm a helium balloon engineer and can confirm. This video is debunked now, helium balloon. This person says this was debunked a year or two ago. It's just a plane flying over a weather balloon. It's stationary and the movement is the plane flying over. So again, like I stated, the consensus in the comments is that it is simply a balloon, and it appears to be moving fast because the plane is flying past it at such a high speed. And I mean, that could be possible. That definitely could be possible. All right, the final clip comes to us from the Aliens subreddit, and it's a pretty wild clip. It's titled "Clear UFO Video Filmed in Spain in 2015, and it's a stabilized footage." So before we play the clip, know that this footage has been stabilized, and there has been some processing done on it and some digital enhancements of it. I could not find the original clip. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I wasn't able to find it, but just know that it's going to look a little weird, and it's because they digitally stabilized it so that you could get a really good look at this bizarre UFO. Now, with that out of the way, let's check it out. So you can see the object here. They're trying to keep it stabilized. It's rotating. It's kind of pod shaped. It's almost shaped like a Metapod from Pokemon. And it seems to have a clear glass front of some kind, or at least a transparent front, maybe a cockpit. And now they're zooming out to show how far away it is, and then they're going to zoom back in on it. So this must actually be the original clip that they're showing first. Yep. So that's what we just saw. So this is the original clip as they zoom in on it and try to keep it steady and keep it in frame. They're having a hard time doing that, obviously, because they're zooming way in on it, and it's extremely hard to keep things in frame that's way off at a distance when you're filming handheld. So that must be the original clip. Now we're going to see a stabilized look at that clip using digital stabilization. So you can see the stabilized version. You see the spin, and then it has an altitude drop, so it does drop down quite a bit in altitude as they continue to film it and try to keep it in focus. And then you're seeing the stabilized version. Here's another stabilized version with the rotation stabilized, and you see that the rotation actually changes direction, and it actually starts to rotate in the other direction a little bit. Very fascinating object. It's hard to say whether this clip is real or not. Could be CG, could be digitally created. But again, you do see a clear, transparent front of the object, and there is something in there. What it is, who really knows? You can't really tell because the footage is so low resolution and grainy. And now here is a close-up image of the occupant within this UFO pod. And again, you can see the clear front, and you can kind of see the shape or outline of something in there. Now they're showing it from another angle and from the front. You can't really make out anything because it's such low resolution. So you're not going to be able to really make out any details of what this thing is. So very fascinating, very bizarre clip. Let's see what people over on the Reddit thread are saying. So this individual says, scrolled this far to get to a normal comment. Totally agree. Discounting CGI, this is the most incredible footage of a UFO I have ever seen. This person says, I believe that's an actual UAP. It's not a balloon as it shows altitude drop and other movement, but damn, that looks an awful lot like a military green color to me. If anything, it's our military using some reverse engineered drone or something. This person says, I for one think that this video is quite amazing. I would hazard a guess that whatever it is, it's not a fake. It could be a balloon, but its rotation is too smooth. The opaque quality, coupled with the translucent other side, it would be a very strange balloon. This is a very fascinating and interesting clip. I'm not saying that it's real. It very well could be CGI of some kind, but it's interesting. That is it for today's episode of Unexplained Chronicles. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about all the clips that I covered in today's episode. And if you have any clips of UFO, UAP, paranormal, or other unexplained phenomenon you would like to see me cover in a future episode, you can throw those links in the comments or email unexplainedchroniclesyt@gmail.com. Thank you guys for tuning in to the video, and I'll see you in the next episode of Unexplained Chronicles.